The Ascent is a twin-stick shooter that should not be missed. This is the type of game that easily can catch the player's eye with its impressive visuals. Each of the areas are textured with plenty of detail, showing living areas and a lot of activity. It is highly inspired from the Blade Runner films and others like it, and very much nails the cyberpunk aesthetic. This is also followed up by a soundtrack that is now permanently in my phone, and one that I can play any track on and only expect something great. But presentation, visuals, and music can only take you so far. Thankfully, the core gameplay experience is backed up with quality mechanics and addictive progression. This is a gem of a title that grabs the player and has them craving to come back to it. It does have its fair share of rough areas as well, but the Ascent is a flawed but underrated gem. The Ascent's gameplay is all centered around the twin-stick shooting. It is often chaotic and action-packed. The shooting is violent and satisfying. Gun sounds are a nice mix of expected and unique. Shotguns have a nice punch to them, and energy weapons sound ripped right from a sci-fi film. Impact-wise, the Ascent delivers with lots of blood, and at times an extreme amount of dismemberment. Limbs will often be blown off, and if you use more of the explosive weapons, enemies will outright blow up. Enemies come in different forms, from gunmen, melee-wielding foes, various robots, ones with area of effect attacks, and much more. Oftentimes, you will fight an interesting mix of these enemies, so encounters are very engaging. For defense, you have two main options, the dodge roll and cover. Dodge works as expected and will allow you to get to a better position and dodge many of the wider attacks. The cover is a nice touch and allows for more tactical options. All you have to do is find some waist-high cover and crouch behind it and get some protection. You can swing your weapon out to fire, and when doing so, enemies will have a very hard time at hitting you. But since enemies have explosives and tend to rush you, you won't be able to stay in just one cover point for the entire fight. You'll be using a nice mix of dodging and cover to ensure you don't lose all your health and come out on top. You can honestly get away with using no cover for the first fourth of the game. After that, it goes from being a fun novelty to being essential to your survival. You can equip up to 2 weapons at one time. There's a nice selection from pistols, rifles, machine guns, shotguns, explosives, and more. There's 2 primary forms as well, with ballistic and energy weapons. Ballistic are good against humans, and energy are much better against robots. Special weapons can be found as well, and that is where you can find some of the fun, explosive rounds. It comes down to player preference on what you want to use and have equipped. I often found myself experimenting with different types and loved the homing burst guns. Added on to this is a tactical and 2 AUGs. Tacticals are on a cooldown and range from healing, dropping turrets, summoning a mech, grenades, and much more. AUGs use energy, and you can have 2 active ones equipped. With these, you can summon allies, create a shield, heal, and use other special attacks. Just from the gun selection, tacticals, and AUGs, you have a lot of room for player expression. When it comes to progression, you will earn experience points from kills and quests. You can eventually max all of your skills out, but that's going to take a long time. So you'll want to take time up front and consider what to focus on. You have different categories to put points into, like more health, energy, faster reloading, greater critical hits, and more. And each one of these slots relates to a different area. For example, if you dump a lot of skill points into a skill that is connected to cybernetics, you will increase your proficiency with skills that are related to cybernetics. And for those that want to experiment, there is also a respec option as well. You will earn more guns and armor and can eventually upgrade your guns as well. There's a lot to earn, which makes the progression feel meaningful and addictive. There's even a transmog vendor, so you can equip the best stuff and look how you want. Hacking is another element, as you find items to upgrade it, and you can hack vending machines for health along with spawning turrets. Story-wise, I love the presentation. The cutscenes and the look of the world is great. I didn't really get too invested in the story itself, but there are some interesting characters. Side missions are fun as they provide unique rewards, act as a means for more shooting, and let you explore other areas of the world. Now, the Ascent is very fun, but it does have a fair amount of flaws. The upside is that the issues are not with the core mechanics, but sadly they are related to the stability of the game, which can very much interfere with your enjoyment when they pop up. For example, both me and my friend experience a fair amount of crashes during our time with it. Thankfully, the checkpoint system is rather good, so I never lost any progress, but it was very annoying to be ripped right from the game. While crossplay does work and is appreciated that Game Pass holders on PC and Xbox can play with each other, it does have some odd issues. This is mainly from inviting. Sometimes my friend would have a hard time joining my game, and will need to restart and receive a new invite before being able to join. Other times, the game wouldn't let me invite anyone, so I would need to restart. I noticed a lot of visual glitches when being a guest in my friend's game. These were issues I never saw as the host. For example, at random times, my HUD would just disappear, and the only fix was a restart of the game. In one instance, an enemy got stuck and I couldn't shoot them, but thankfully an AUG attack did work on him. Another time, I was using an elevator and it just stopped me mid-air, and I was walking around on the air. A dialogue bubble would never go away unless I reset the game. Outside of the stability issues, I had some other flaws. There are some odd difficulty spikes. There is this one bridge in the game that you have to cross a few times. It's packed with heavy gunners and enemies that do devastating area of effect attacks in a small space. It feels imbalanced and very cheap every time I have to cross it. Another odd thing was how I could interact with my inventory while in an elevator or taxi, only if I hit the start button first and then the inventory. This seemed like a bug. The cutscenes are really nice and have dynamic camera angles to keep it interesting, but in-game conversations are static and could benefit from at least changing up the angle during a conversation. There's probably even more flaws, but these are the ones that I experienced. Ascent is rather buggy, but it's also very, very fun. Before we move to the conclusion, I want to highlight the soundtrack. It greatly contributes to the identity of the game, and it's very awesome. Here are a few tracks from the game. The Ascent is both a buggy game and a very fun one as well. The twin-stick action is solid with plenty of fun guns and abilities to use. Player expression is pretty good as well, as you have lots of toys and options to play around with to find the playstyle that suits you, or you can even change it up as you go along. The action is chaotic, with you needing to move around while also allowing you to take a tactical position with the use of cover. Co-op is a really nice addition, and honestly I would recommend playing the game with at least one friend. This is a great example of a good Game Pass title. A game that sort of got overlooked but deserves attention because of how much fun it is. And something like Game Pass is perfect for you since you can jump around and try many different titles. If you can stomach the buggy feel to the experience, there is a lot to enjoy here. I recommend the Ascent, and I hope to see more from this developer in the future. If you're interested in being notified of new videos, please hit the subscribe button and bell. And if you would like to support the channel and get early access to content, please check out my Patreon. All of the links will be at the end of this video and within the description. And thank you very much for watching.